Welcome to The Snack, a lighter serving of Girls Gotta Eat.
This is a Dear Media production.
Enjoy.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Do you miss me?
Yes. This is really COVID-y because I'm at my parents' house in Delaware. I am the East Coast correspondent this week. So giving you guys all the tea on the East Coast and beyond, what's happening on the farm in Delaware, just piping hot tea.
Any celebs? Any celeb visits?
All the celebs are here. This is where they actually had the Ambani wedding, was on my parents' farm. It's just been lit.
That's why you're in that outfit. We'll talk about it.
And it's so hot. Raina, you don't even know.
It's
this insane heat wave. I got off the plane. I was in Boston for the weekend. We'll talk about it. But then it turned this morning. So as I left Boston, I was like, it's heating up. And then I landed in Philly. I got off that plane. I was fighting for my life. I was in full leggings, jean jacket, like my normal travel outfit. It's like takes your breath away hot right now, like on the East Coast.
I can't relate to it. It's just always 70 degrees in Venice. The sun's out some of the time. But if you guys are watching on YouTube, big news, we have air conditioning in the studio now.
Oh my God, Rena, don't show behind the curtain. Get it out of the frame. You guys weren't supposed to see that.
Okay, well, I've spent days with these guys at the house installing this. So I just had to flex. I've just been hanging out, installing AC.
Okay, yeah.
I have to give you an update.
Okay.
It pertains to this episode, but I got off Instagram for 2 days. Deleted it from my phone for 2 full days, all day Saturday and Sunday. Nobody even knew that I went to the farmer's market yesterday.
Why'd you do this? For mental health?
I just felt like I needed a little break from what other people had going on. Everybody was out of town last week, all my friends, you, everybody, and I just was I felt like I had nothing going on, and I was spiraling about what everybody else had going on. It was bad for me, and I was just this is not a good way to feel. It's silly to feel like this. You should be excited for other people, or you should get off the internet. I had to go on Instagram on my computer on Saturday just to read some stuff that was going on.
Well, you love an excuse to be in the DMs from desktop.
But I have a question for you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
I genuinely mean this not as a joke. I don't understand how people know what's happening in the world if you get off of social media. Everything I know is because of Instagram.
So I had that break, got logged out, but I couldn't get him in my personal Instagram. So I use it as a break to take 4 or 5 days off, 5 days, I think, something like that. And I didn't feel, I don't know how to say this. I felt mentally better, but I felt out of the loop and not as funny. I didn't have the content. And I'm what are best friends talking about? What are couples talking about? When you don't have the I think a lot of our conversations with people that you're with all the time, you and I are together all the time. What we can't just talk about our feelings all the time, or our past, or our relationships or our friendships. We need what's going on in the world to discuss. So I think there's something to be said for taking breaks and removing yourself and curating who you follow, and trying not to compare yourself, and really curating what comes in. But I do have to stay in the know.
I know. I mean, especially for this episode, but I do feel I'm less funny and less fun. I was scrolling Instagram on my computer on Saturday for jokes. What am I going to talk about? But I got 2 tips that I thought really helpful, and then we can move on, because I know we talked about you taking a break, and I thought it was helpful. But a friend of mine, she said I unfollow everything that doesn't bring me joy, or I mute it. So anything that so I ended up unfollowing a few accounts that I just felt kind of spiked some anxiety for me.
Yeah.
And she said I moved my Instagram to the last page of my phone and put it in a folder. So because I tried to get off of it on Friday, and I was I'm just going to post and ghost. I'm just not going to look. But you have that muscle memory that you keep going to the phone to click it. Yeah.
So I moved it on my phone, and then I set my time limit. So sometimes I bypass it. Sometimes I have to. Sometimes I have to be I got stuff going on today, and it's a weekend. I'm going to treat myself, or I got to prep for the snack, whatever it is. But at least it reminds you, and you have to physically be no, I want to ignore it. I think you should do that. I think you should try the limit.
I think I'm going to try the limit. So I think I'm just going to do everything. And I find that I feel a little bit better. I'm back in today because we had to post about the new episode. But I just wanted to tell you that I took a break for a couple
days. Good for you.
It felt really nice.
You know what? Yeah. Self-care, sis. Okay, let's talk about our partners, and then we will get right back into it.
Okay. Thank you to Base. Get 15% off your first purchase at basetravel.com/GG.
Yes. And thank you to Quince. Get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order at quince.com/GGE.
Let's bring the mood up.
With our RIP report, a lot of death this weekend, but we're going to do like a celebration of life. And can you tell your celebration of life story before we get into our RIP report?
I really thought that I had like sidestepped this and we were never going to have to talk about it. Because weeks ago you were like, we're going to talk about it on the show. And I was like, no, we're not, maybe. And I thought that I got away with it. But I got to tell you guys, I've never heard of a celebration of life. I've never heard what that is. So I was at my birthday party and I was talking to some friends and I was a little drunk, okay? And a friend of mine was like, I went to a celebration of life party this weekend. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so fun. And she goes, what? And then another friend of ours walked out who I think of as just like this very spiritual, one with everything. And I go, she just went to a celebration of life party. It sounds like something that you would go to. And she goes, what? Both of them were looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, what? And she goes, it's a funeral.
The funeral arena.
I have never heard of this term before. I did not know. I really looked so stupid.
Okay, so this does bring us into our RIP report, which we had some lives we would like to celebrate.
It was a celebration of life this week for this because a lot of these people really like deeply affected me.
So the first person is Shannen Doherty, who so tragically passed away at the age of 53 after a long fight with breast cancer. And people may know her by different things. I personally think of her as Brenda Walsh.
She really shaped me as I was sitting in the basement on a volume level 3 as a kid watching 90210. I loved her.
So this is very generational, how you think of Shannen Doherty, because I think that if...
What, Charmed?
No, the original, who she played in Heathers. Yeah, do you know the name?
I don't. Isn't it just Heather?
I think it's like...
If it's Heather, I'm going to die.
Heather, you're right, she's Heather.
Well, they're all Heather. It's called Heather.
No, her name's Heather.
Yeah, but isn't all their...
That's what it's about.
Yeah, they're all named Heather.
Shut up. Are you serious?
That's why it's called Heather. They should stay in. That was funny. That was really funny.
Oh my God. No, I didn't know that. I've never seen it. Okay. I do think this is generational on how you think of Shannen Doherty. I think you're Gen X. You're going to think of her as Heather from Heathers. And I think if you're millennial Gen X cusp and Gen X, you'll think of Brenda Walsh. And then I think a little younger, maybe a younger millennial is Charmed.
I forgot she's had such a long running career. Heathers is the original Mean Girls. What an iconic movie. And I loved her in 90210. I was probably super, super young when I watched that show. But it's weird to see somebody that you watched growing up be sick and pass away. It really makes you take stock of your own life because you're like, am I getting that old? Wow.
Well, she was 53, so she obviously died too young. But I just think that's interesting on how you think of her. So it came across my feed and I was with Sparkle Eyes, who's my boyfriend if you're new around here, and he's 33. And I was talking about Brenda and he was talking about Charmed. And we were like not... Because I was like, I wasn't really allowed to watch that when I was a kid. My parents didn't really want me watching it. And sometimes I would sneak around and watch it. And he was like, what? And he's talking about Charmed. I'm talking about 90210. And I was like, you're not even really on my radar of that. Like, because I'm an older millennial. He's a younger millennial. So I think that's interesting. But I have to say, I wasn't really supposed to watch 90210, but I would sneak it. And I had the doll. They made 90210 like Barbie dolls. I don't know if they were actually Barbie branded, but they were like Barbie dolls. That's what they look like. And I had Brenda. Like, that's who I wanted to be. Because I think when you were younger, you like what color hair is like the one you wore. Like I was like, I don't relate to Jenny Garth or Tori Spelling, and they're blondes and I'm a brunette and I have a brother. And so I was like, I'm Brenda. And I had the doll. It was so random.
I didn't know they made dolls.
I know, it's kind of a deep cut.
Did you root for cast? Did you root for Dylan and Brenda or Dylan and Kelly? Did you have a preference?
I just think I always wanted Brenda to win. So I guess I was like Dylan and Brenda, and morbid to say, but they are reunited now. And I think that's like a nice thought.
Oh my God, Ashley.
R.I.P. to them both.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys are happy up there together in your 90210 bliss. Somebody who means like so much to Ashley and I and really is just a pioneer in the world for women. She passed away at 96 this weekend at her home. It's Dr. Ruth Westheimer. And Ashley and I were so lucky to meet her last year. We did the Drew Barrymore show with her. To share a stage with this woman was one of the greatest honors truly of my life. I think that she just paved the way to talk about sex. She's a Holocaust survivor. She's so far past her time. She's married 3 times, which is unheard of for somebody her generation. I mean, she lived a great life, and she really pushed open discussions about sex. And to have met her before she passed away was like really such an honor.
So we met her in 2023. Gotta say, she was horny till the day she died. She was not, was she not? She still has that horny energy. We were on this panel for Drew Barrymore. She was seated next to Matthew Hussey, and she was just like flirting, and she still was like answering audience questions about sex. I just love to see it. And I always knew the name and knew I had this deep respect for her as this pioneer in the sex world and as this wonderful therapist. But her documentary, I feel like, really made me know more about her story. And I think that I wanted to just recommend that. It's called Ask Dr. Ruth. And you can get it on Hulu or Amazon. Just like look it up. I'm not sure. It's nowhere like exclusively, and you can watch that. And you watched it, right?
It's a phenomenal watch. I think I watched it. I think it came out around COVID times, and
it came out in 2019. So it's I think I watched it like during COVID too.
Yeah.
Rain and I, after we watched that, we were like wanting to get in touch with her and have her on the show, on the podcast. But then we got to actually meet her in person, and it really was so special. I just was like, Rainey, you can go in. You're, a short Jew, and you're going to relate to her more and be more on her level. I mean, I like stood, I was like hulking over you two. Like you knelt down, and she's so small, but she's smaller than you. And I was just in the back like, hi, Dr. Ruth.
I mean, this must be how you feel around me. Like I was hulking over her. And I will say, I forgot, I'm glad you brought this up. So I've booked every guest on this show for 7 years. I find their contact information. I talk to their representatives. I email back and forth with them. She is the only guest in like 7 years I could not find contact information for. She's the hardest person to get a hold of. And the person who produced the documentary with her, who's her longtime sort of like media partner, he is also the hardest person to get in touch with. She stumped me until the day she died. But really like a beautiful life well spent, and a long, beautiful life well spent.
Yeah, she will be missed. And lastly, we have, well, not lastly, I'm sure plenty of people died this weekend, but lastly on our list, in our top 3, Richard Simmons, a fitness icon. I really like this headline, which I'm definitely beefing with the New York Times as of late. But anyway, I like this headline from the New York Times, and it says, Richard Simmons, the original queer eye in an area of high machismo and casual homophobia. He was a cheerleader for self-acceptance, which I think people categorize him as like a gay icon, but he really wasn't that open about his sexuality. I think later in life, it was obvious. I mean, he had a male partner. I don't know. So regardless, he was this real icon of like self-acceptance and self-expression and like, moving your body and loving your body and all that kind of thing. So, he's not necessarily our generation, but I feel like we all know. Richard Simmons
is the pinnacle of like marching to the beat of your own drum. It wasn't so popular at the time to be that flamboyant on television with that haircut. I mean, it was like him and Bob Ross were the only people that were like confident enough to like rock that fro, and my dad.
Can we put pictures up of?
I'm gonna find pictures of my dad.
Bob Ross and your dad's fro.
My dad had a giant Jew fro, huge.
Your dad was a little fuck boy. I could like see it. I'm picturing him like tight jeans also. I don't know. Or maybe in short shorts. So I feel like Richard Simmons was the pioneer of short shorts on men as well. Thighs out. So we wanted to say RIP to him as well and transition into short shorts.
This is our fashion report this week, you guys.
Our fashion report. GQ had an article recently that says why men can't stop wearing slutty short shorts because they're getting sluttier.
They're getting shorter and sluttier. Faux show.
Yeah, I'll read this. It says, over the last 4 years, a display of ample thigh has been the summer ideal for men, and that is in direct contravention to the usual law of fashion physics, where things and trends rise and fall. Short shorts then have far outlived the usual life expectancy. The summer of 2024 is destined for slutty menswear and the people who love it once more. So, and then it kind of brings up that 4 years ago, a famous image of Paul Mescal began to circulate. He was wearing that white Irish football shorts. And so they're kind of saying that started it, but I certainly remember, I feel like it was 2016-ish. This is when I was heavy in my Instagram account, Bros Being Basic. And that was like the Chubbies era. I remember like Chubbies came about. And that was a little more, it was shorter, but it was like more mid-thigh. Like I feel like we're in like slutty shorts for guys.
They're shorter than I'm wearing. And
that's where I draw the line though. You can't be shorter than me.
I have mixed feelings about it because I feel like
I do want to know your thoughts. I don't know this.
Listen, I like short shorts because it's comfortable for me in the summertime. And men are people too, and they deserve to be comfortable. Like, you don't have to wear this tent. But men are not tanning appropriately. So, like, there's just a straight up ombre straight up their entire leg. It makes me uncomfortable to see a fleshy thigh that's that pale. Like, you got to tan accordingly. Yes. And I think that also it's age specific. Like, I think I'm not wanting to see anybody, like, older than 31 in a short short.
Raina, first of all, the age shaming for me. Don't be out here putting an age cap on a short short.
You want to see like a 45-year-old man in short shorts? Tell me one that you want to see.
I have so much to say.
What does Sparkle Eyes wear short shorts?
We'll talk about body types in a minute, but I'm just also thinking like, I remember looking at like pictures of my mom with like my dad and like even other men she dated like in her albums and things like that. And they used to wear them so short back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I am laughing when you're talking about them tanning, because if you've ever seen a guy try to tan his thighs and he hikes his shorts up and then his dick is just all bunched up and it's like this moose knuckle on the beach. Like when guys try to pull up their shorts to tan those upper thighs, it is like a crime scene. Like you're like, what is your dick doing? Like it's all bunched up.
I don't understand what they're doing with their dicks in those. Like shorts, I can't stop staring at it. Like, is it going to fall out the bottom?
No, Raina, thank you so much, because a couple of summers ago, I was reading this article that 5-inch inseam was trending. And I was like, what if your dick is 6 inches? Like, what are you doing? Let's do the math. The math is not mathing. Like, where is your dick? Where is it going? Like, I feel like I don't know that big dick guys are rocking short shorts. Like, the math just won't allow it.
So 2 things. You either have to have one of those nets inside of it, like bathing suits have.
Yeah, they have like a little bit of a gusset or like I don't know.
What is a gusset?
That's the wrong word.
But what is that?
I think that's like a camel toe protector.
Okay. But like, okay, how many dicks are longer than 5 inches soft?
No, I know not a lot, like statistically, but all I'm saying is like there are some, and I feel like it's big dick energy to wear a short, but then you can't really have that big old dick in those short shorts.
100%. Yes, I am super confident, but I also have a small dick. That's exactly what it is. Absolutely. Because I'm looking at you just thinking like you have a 1-inch penis, which that's fine. I mean, Ashley and I have seen some real growers in our lives.
Oh, yeah. No, it's funny because like there's so many guys I can think of who like could wear a 3-inch inseam by day, but they get hard and you got to leave the premise of this.
You need a 10-inch by night.
3 to 10. I mean,
I was on Instagram the other day when I was still living that life. I saw this girl like pull out a ruler of 7.5 inches and put it against her body. And I was like, that's enormous.
Yeah, it totally is. It's crazy that when people say like, I want a 9 and 10-inch cock, it's like, are you to get out of here? Your vagina's 5 inches deep. Where are you gonna put it?
Ruin my life.
On average, everybody has a different length vagina. I'm sure all bodies different. I do think it's this like confidence. Because they can't be shorter than mine, you know. And I think there's certainly a line, depending on how you style it, where people will just assume you're gay. You know, that you're just like a confident gay man, like rocking booty shorts. You know what I mean? Which is no problem. But if you're not trying to put that out there, I don't know. There's a guy that I hooked up with years ago. We're still like friends on Instagram. Like it didn't really go anywhere. And he is, I mean, Raina, they got to be 1-inch inseam. I mean, he is in a booty short all the time. He loves a booty short. He's straight. He's just like, this is my look.
Well, I want to talk about body types because I feel like in my mind, I like short guy, thick thighs in a short, like Jeremy Allen White or the cover of this article, Paul Mescal.
Yeah,
short guy, thick thighs. That like Jacob Elordi in a short.
Well, but like athletic build, because I think you can get away with being tall. I don't think that tall and really thin is the look. I think you look like a ballerina. Like, I don't really think that's like, I don't think my boyfriend who is tall and slim is going to do that. I don't want him in a long short. This is not the 90s. Don't be out here in a long short. He's doing like appropriately length short. But I think here's the thing. They got to be a little snug, but not too snug because then you have a moose knuckle. So it's like you do need a little bit of meat on your thighs. But like you have quadzilla and you're like, this is inappropriate. And they're about to like burst at the seams. So there is like a level of like meatiness. You know who I think is good in a short is Bobby Westside. And we'll throw a picture up if you guys are watching on YouTube. This is our good friend. He's a trainer. He's like 5'11", maybe 5'10", 5'11". So he's not this like tall, hulky. Yeah, and he's got those quads, but not too much. He's married. His wife would hear this and she would probably agree. We talk, she knows. But I was just trying to think of like what guys are like rocking them and doing them well because he does wear them,
You're right. You cross the threshold of like our friend Rob, who's a former lacrosse player. He's too thicky thick. I can't even imagine somebody that big. 6'5".
6'5", short, 6'5", thick thighs. Brown eyes.
That's why I said short guys, thick thighs.
6'5" and thick. 6'5", thick thighs is funny though. Added to the trust fund thong. But sometimes when you're really tall, it's just too much to do something. Like, I think about this all the time. Like, you can do stuff that, like, I just can't do it. It's too much of whatever it is. Like, even, like, a wild print. Like, if you were to wear a wild print head to toe, like, you would look so cute and fashiony. I would walk in and people would be like, okay, safari. Like, I would look it's too much. Like, I feel like a guy that's 6'5" in a short, it's just too much leg. Like, they walk in a place and you're, like, stunned by the sheer amount of leg.
Well, you're accentuating something that's already accentuated, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't wear capri pants. I'm a short person. I'm not trying to, like, draw more attention to my shortness. Like, Jacob Elordi, it's like, we get it. You're 100 feet tall. You don't need to be wearing panties as shorts.
Wait, have we seen him in a short, or are you just giving an example?
I think about him a lot.
Yeah, no, I get that.
If Sparkle Eyes got shorts, you guys could probably share those. I know you're always trying to share. I know you're always trying to share clothing.
First of all, you know that I wouldn't be able to fit in them, so why'd you even say it?
I think he's very fashionable.
There is no images to speak of Jacob Elordi in a short. They're all like above the knee, not fewer that are like longer. I'm just not seeing him in any. Hold on, is this one? Is this from the back? Here we go. Jacob Elordi wears shorts for a workout. This was on Just Jared with girlfriend Kaya Gerber's, but I'm not mad at it.
I mean, he could do no wrong in my eyes.
When you have a guy that looks like that, especially if they're wearing like a high sock and a sneaker, they're just getting like 80s track star, which is a vibe.
Well, you know what also like blew into the pop culture zeitgeist and blew right out in 2017 is male rompers.
Oh, Raina, first of all, what?
You don't know about male rompers?
What are you saying?
What are you saying?
2017, were we friends? What are you talking about?
Here's why I know it's 2017, because this morning when you sent me, we were talking about the male shorts. I was like, this is funny, like men trying something new. And I was like, oh yeah, male rompers. So I was trying to find male rompers in the news, and there was all these articles in 2017 about it, and never since. It lighted on the world and went right back. Like dressed like a UPS worker in like a short.
No,
like,
that's a crime.
Like a khaki.
Wear a dress, guys. Don't be out here in a raw. That's just keep it. That's for the girls. That's crazy.
You've never seen a male romper? I'm so surprised you you ran Bros Being Basic. I'm surprised you never put anybody in a male romper.
Well, I can picture like a one piece, like a jumpsuit, kind of like a painter style. That's fine.
But it's usually short sleeves, short pants. Male
romper.
Romper.
You're right. Now that I'm looking, I remember, and I do think Chubby's. Don't quote me, but may have made these too. You're right. I totally forgot about this. There was Romp Him, which was like a site,
that's
like
the site.
Original, but it was jokey. Did you feel like it was like a joke?
Still available for sale.
Like, it was like a 4th of July, red, white, and blue. You know.
Yeah, you don't want to see like your adult boyfriend in like a child's onesie. It's not for me. If a baby could wear it, I don't want my boyfriend to wear it.
Yeah. Leave that to us. We're going to continue our fashion report, which is also / a pussy report.
Oh my God, this is
Maren Morris's full pussy was out at this concert, which was a Willie Nelson tribute
in New Jersey. Yes.
So it wasn't like her concert. She was on it. She was like singing some of her songs. I want to start this by saying I love Maren Morris. I love her music. And this is not to any sort of shame or body shaming or embarrassing. I think it's like iconic.
It's iconic.
Who doesn't wear underwear. Also, like we certainly want to try lightly. We don't want to draw attention to anything where people would criticize, but like we're kind of shocked there wasn't more about this.
So she's on stage. She does a full rendition of In the Middle. 4 to 5 minutes. Yeah. She's stomping it out across the stage.
Amazing song. Favorite.
And she's wearing this jean skirt that has a cutout that, I don't know what the actual thing is called, but you see the full, I mean, it's cut higher than her panty line.
Yeah, it's like this, it's almost like it's totally asymmetrical, it's like a one leg skirt, like one whole leg is out.
And as she's stomping it out, it looks as though she is not wearing any underwear at all. Like bare vagina, full, just straight up the skirt. Somebody has a whole video of this whole thing. I can't believe what I was watching.
I'm with you. I was laying in bed. Sparkle Eyes and I were scrolling TikTok again, trying to figure out what to talk about for the day, our topics. And I was like, that's not real. Like, also, but what am I seeing? And also, like, is this just like pussy printed underwear? Like, how was this even on TikTok? And like, how is this not like, then like we checked Twitter and we were like, what? Why is no one talking about this? And also, if people aren't talking about it because they're like, well, she's probably super embarrassed and why would you bring attention to that? But that doesn't really seem like the internet I know. You know what I mean? Like this seems like something that would kind of go viral. And again, we were just shook by it, but also like that's iconic. Like for her to get dressed and be like, no, fuck it, I'm good is crazy. Like we love a free the puss moment. You know, we talked on the first episode of The Snack, you know, like pussy out summer.
It's like watching a porn. She is confidently stomping across the stage. It's not up for debate, really, like what that is. I mean, it is full open shots of her vagina. And I was wondering if she was wearing some kind of flesh-colored underwear, that she was just like in the mirror. This looks like you can't see anything. It's clear that I'm wearing underwear, but it does not appear that she's wearing underwear. And I really was like, I got to get into the comments. And some of the comments, like so many women were like, I wish my pussy looked that good.
No, yeah, like her pussy looks amazing. Like that's why for a second I was, is that just like pussy printed underwear? Like, is that like a perfect pussy? Like it just looked,
it's art.
Great. It looks so good. That day we went to brunch and I wore a jean skirt with a slit up the front with no underwear in her honor. You know, like I was like, I'm pulling a Maren, you know, but I was telling you, I was like, this was so iconic and I doubt she thought that would happen. I don't know. I can't imagine how you would get dressed and as a performer kind of know what your body's going to do on stage. You've seen photos of yourself. You've seen videos. You know how clothes work. You know, like I know a world in which you're maybe not a performer and you were like, this will be fine. I can't see my pussy in the mirror right now. But knowing how you move and how you dance around, like you would know. Like you and I know what's going to happen with our clothing once we get on stage. But I was telling you, like, A, if this was on purpose, go off. And B, what if this was Taylor Swift? I would die happy. If this just happened and that was like that line and Taylor was like, yeah, what about it? Like, I would lose it.
I feel like she would. I feel like that's the energy she gives. She's just like, what are you going to say about me that everybody hasn't already said about me? I would lose my mind. Also, I was like, Janet Jackson like literally lost her whole career because of like a wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl. And I forget if it was you or Tess that said like, well, if this was the Super Bowl, it would have been like a bigger deal. But if this was the Super Bowl, I could die that day and be happy. It would be the best day of my life.
If this was the Super Bowl, like she would have been tackled to the ground. Like they would have went up there, like Secret Service style, like get your pussy off the screen. You know, like this is not.
I kept waiting for it because she stomps across the stage a lot of times. And if you look at her from the one side, you can't see the vagina because it's the one leg of the skirt. But the other side, it's just full vagina out. And I was like, surely at some point on one side of the stage, someone will stop her and say like, this is what's happening. At one point, they panned to the security guard and this big, bald security guard is just singing along to In the Middle. sunglasses on, like not paying attention.
Totally. Why won't you just leave me in the middle?
You and I perform on stage a lot, and I would never not wear underwear on stage. I mean, unless I was wearing pants. Like, even if I was wearing a short, like, a pussy lip might slip out. Like, you uncross your legs and you have, like, a Sharon Stone moment. Like, you just wear underwear on stage.
Yeah, 100%. And, like, I'm always fine. You see my butt cheeks or my, because thongs are, people are out in public wearing thongs. Like, it's not that, but, like, pussy is different. And I don't care if you see my underwear either. But, like, you got to keep both lips covered or not, whatever, live your truth. But did she feel a breeze? Like, I feel like I'd catch a breeze. Like, I feel like it looked hot out there. It's summertime. Like, don't you think you'd be like, oh my God, I think I caught a breeze on my bare pussy. It came through the skirt.
Totally. I would feel a breeze. Were people not yelling stuff up at her?
Right.
Like the 50 people in the front, like directly straight up the skirt. I can't believe it. Meanwhile, everybody that's been at our shows is like, Rain, I've seen your boobs at every show. But I'm in control of that, you guys. I know that's happening. But to your point of like, this is not the internet, I know. So I've gone to the post and there really aren't that many comments on it. I'm talking like 1,200 comments. Like this should be tens of thousands. And maybe people are just becoming less prude.
Love that.
I'd be shocked by it. But this looked like OnlyFans.
Yes. But then everybody wants to be up in arms about a nip slip. Like I don't know. Like I would love to believe that. I would love to believe that we're all just like, pussy out. No problem. No panties, no problem. But I don't know. We'll see.
Good for her just living free.
Maybe we've turned a corner.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you guys about Quince. This Quince is great clothing you can wear to cover up all your private parts whether you're gearing up for your next trip. Deciding what to pack is always so stressful. So we just love that we have all these clothes from Quince and they're just like super easy, really like basics. But of course, there's trendy stuff as well, like premium European linen dresses, blouses and shorts starting from $30, washable silk tops, premium luggage options. They also jewelry and accessories. I love their bags. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They partner directly with top factories, so they cut out the cost of the middleman and pass the savings on to you. And they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. Okay, so I want to talk about this very specific dress that I really want you guys all to get. So this is the Ultraform Active Dress. And it's kind of like that exercise dress. So some different brands do where you have like your built-in like little shorts while we're talking about, covering it up. But it's like, it's a short dress and it's like a stretchy material, kind of like an athletic material. And then it has like your built-in bra and your built-in short. And I've had other brands. I have like probably like 3 or 4 brands that do a athletic dress. This is my favorite. I'm not kidding.
Oh.
I will like wear, yes, like and I'm not like playing tennis in it. Like I'm just wearing it out to be cute. I'll wear it with like a sneaker. I'll wear it with a jean jacket if it's going to be cooler out. And I just love it. It has 5-star reviews across the board. They have Merlot, navy, black, forest green, and plum. I actually have it in plum. And this is like now it's something they were like requesting I talk about. I just wanted to make a point today that like this is something that I love so much. I love their silk dresses as well. I love their maxi dresses. Like I just think it's dress season. That's all I can wear right now with this heat. So I think like go there and get some of your comfy dresses, bring them on vacation. I mean, this active dress too is so easy to just ball up and put in your suitcase. I mean, you could go on a trip and just bring like all 5 of these. So you get every color and you can be like, that's my whole wardrobe. Like just stick to it. You could probably, you could wear it with like a cute sandal or again, like a sneaker, dress it down. So that is my tip today. Is that specific dress, but we really love everything that they do. And again, really like premium high quality materials and styles and cuts and all that kind of stuff. So pack your bags with high quality essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/GGE for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/GGE to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/GGE.
Yes, and speaking of travel, the literally only thing that I will travel with is base luggage. I just went to Europe for 2 weeks. I took one bag. It was the 29-inch check-in-able suitcase from Base. I love the material. It's like this hard material, so I know it'll be like safe when I check my luggage. I love the cushioned handle. It's so nice to use. They have 360-degree wheels. Everything I need just like fits in there really neat and organized. And then for a weekend trip, I am absolutely obsessed with either their weekender bag, which is pretty large and has a separate compartment compartment at the bottom for either accessories, hair stuff, or shoes. And they have their east to west bag, which is my absolute favorite size. It's good for like a 2-night trip, has a laptop sleeve. Everything I need fits in there really easily. There's zipper pockets. There's a place for your water bottle. It is just the absolute perfect bag for a 2-night trip. And I love everything they do. The colors of the bags are great. It's fashionable. I always see girls at the airport in base and they're always just like dressed so cute. I'm like, oh, another base girly. And they come with all kinds of things that you need. So they have a washable bag for your dirty clothes and interior pockets to keep everything organized. They really have thought of everything. So I can't recommend it enough for traveling. I love it. I have every single thing that they do. I continue to spend money on them. I love this company. So right now, Base is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase by visiting basetravel.com/GGE. Go to basetravel.com/GGE for 15% off your first purchase. That's BEIStravel.com/GGE.
Okay, so I just want to make an official announcement, clear any speculation up that the Ambani wedding was this past weekend, and I was also at a wedding. I was at a South Asian wedding, and it was not that wedding, unfortunately. So for those of you that thought I was with Kim and Chloe and Priyanka at the Ambani wedding, at the $600 million wedding, I was not. I was at a wedding that was at a Marriott. It was beautiful. It was special, but it was just different vibes.
Well, you and I met at a Marriott, so Marriott's really special.
We love a Marriott. Beautiful ballroom. The food was incredible. It was my boyfriend's best friend, so he gave a speech. It was great, but it was just, I don't know if people were trolling me, but a few people were in my comments because I posted a reel of us and they were like, were you at the wedding Kim Kardashian was at? I was like, are you trolling me? No.
Well, what are the odds that you were at an Indian wedding the same weekend of like the most famous wedding that it's just all over page 6 and everybody's outfits and all the different performers what if you were at a wedding and saw like Justin Bieber perform or Rihanna?
Rihanna. So the Rihanna thing of it all is that was months ago. Like they've started these wedding festivities for, all of 2024, quite honestly. But the Rihanna thing was crazy. Rihanna's not even out there performing. She's doing the Super Bowl and this wedding. This engagement party?
Like $15 million to do like 2 songs or something.
Yeah, that wasn't even the wedding. It was just like the pre-party months ago. So we're not going to deep dive into this too much. I don't know if you have like thoughts on it. It's to see an extravagant wedding like that, I think none of us can like look away, whatever your feelings about it are. But it's crazy.
I couldn't stop looking at the fashion. I thought that Kim Kardashian had like her nipples out for the red dress that the red outfit she wore. It looked like her areolas were out at the top, and I was like, good for her. Like in a bunch of different photos, but I think it was just like a reflection. I was like, go off, Kim, with your nipples out. I heard that they filmed the Kardashians at this, so we are going to be able to see the wedding on the show, which I'm really excited about. And I have a question. It's not sarcastic. Do you think that the Kardashians actually know these people personally, or were they paid to be there?
I have no idea.
I've heard both.
I don't know what happens in those circles of that level of people. Like I've definitely saw plenty of people being like, they just got paid to be there. Like it was just a status, like a clout thing. But I have no idea. And that's why I'm kind of excited to see the show even when it airs. But there definitely was like, I don't want to say controversy. I think people were shocked at what Kim wore, but I think Kim knew the assignment. A lot of times people say red is reserved for the bride for Indian weddings. That clearly was not the case. Like, I'm sure a wedding of this status, people knew what they could and couldn't wear. You never know. You never know. Like, it could be a thing that she was just like, I'm going to wear red. And that's also not what every Indian bride feels. But like, there is traditionally some people feel that red is reserved for the bride. And of course, I'm not an Indian woman. Obviously, I would assume that the bride wants to wear red and doesn't want anyone else wear red. They would know that. But some people like were seeing that. Like, in terms of culturally, just like American Christian, wearing white, like that's their red. But clearly it was probably just like come dressed to impress, like go all out, and she really did. I thought she
looked incredible.
The Kardashians, they're just like doing Instagram stories. Like they give us a lot. Like I was like watching Kim and Chloe. They're just like in the car, like Instagramming all the way to the wedding. I'm like, they don't have to do that. Like God bless them, because I was reading about the wedding and then I was like, I'm just going to go watch Kim's and Chloe's stories, and they're just like on stories. Like, isn't that just...
It's crazy to have that window
love
into
to see it.
It's
Yes.
I don't think it's so outside of reality that Kardashians could know them. I mean, Kris Kardashian is best friends with Jeff Bezos's wife or fiance, whatever she is, and Kathy Hilton. I mean, they are part of like that level of society already. And the Ambanis, we didn't say this before, but so he is the son of one of the richest men in the world. They are billionaires. I mean, they have like he's the heir to like $120 billion. So when
he
really
married an heir as well. Yeah.
Yes. And he paid Justin Bieber $10 million to perform for like 15 minutes, which if you have $120 billion is like the equivalent of paying somebody $60. You know, like it doesn't mean anything. But I think the Kardashians do operate in those circles. But I do think it's plausible that they were just invited as celebrities and the exchange was like, you can film this for Hulu.
I absolutely see a world in which it was like, let's get the Kardashians here.
Yeah.
Like, why? Let's, you know, we have Rihanna, we have Kim. Like, let's just get him here. Like, it looks good, but who's to say?
Okay. So a lesser reported on person who was there was John Cena.
It was so random.
So how did he get involved? No one's paying John Cena to come to the wedding. So I feel like he really was friends with those people. Like, how did he get involved?
I have no idea. You know what I love is when there's like a carousel of people, for example, like some of the reporting on this wedding would be like 6 photos of celebrities that were there. And like John Cena's in like the 4th photo, but then the comments are like, the 4th photo is blank, or I can't see the 4th photo, you know, because this whole like wrestler or you can't see me thing. You know, do you know all that?
No.
Do you not know?
Funny. No, I don't know this.
Okay. But moving on. No, it's just like very funny. Like, so now just so you know, so his like thing when he was like in the WWE was just like, you can't see me. And he would like put his hand in front of his face. So it's just, I'm just letting you know that if you see comments that are like, why is there no one in that photo? Like it's basically when people comment the same thing when someone's like in camo, you know, it's like that kind of vibe, like, and they're outside.
You know what I've been thinking about for days? I've been meaning to tell you, because we talked about, you and I, this will be out on Monday, but we talked about things that are invisible having a color.
Yes.
And I said, we're going to be talking about invisible string theory on Monday. And I said, it's this idea about this red thread. And you were like, what do you mean? And I've been thinking about this for days, wanting to tell you that like things that are invisible still have a color. They're not clear.
Okay, right. Because John Cena, he's got a color. He wears colors. He's flesh colored. Yeah. Okay. You're right. So just getting ahead of this, clearing it up.
Stay tuned for Monday.
I have to say, this one thing that Kim Kardashian wore to that wedding, this like second night, not the red night, but the next night, was that the nose ring.
Yeah.
Like which I wanted to do a nose ring for the first night of this wedding I went to, and I just got like a fake one from Amazon, and like I just didn't like it, and I was like, it's just gonna fall out. But it wasn't the kind that like attaches to your ear. So she had like the whole thing, you know, like going across her face, which is so dope, by the way. But she like couldn't talk, and she saw an Instagram story, and then she's like, like the way she was like trying to move her mouth, I was like, this reminds me of when I got my nose job. Like she was just trying to like talk, and I was like, just lift the nose bracelet up, Kim. Like it was just this very funny thing to see her kind of awkwardly trying to like not acknowledge the fashion. You know, like I feel like Kim's whole thing is like, she will be uncomfortable. You'd have to pick her up and move her up a stair. Like she will do whatever it takes. She'll cinch herself into whatever, but don't talk about it. You know, it's just very like, she had this very awkward thing across her face hanging in her mouth and was still just like, so on the way to this wedding, you know.
I have to watch this. She's wearing millions of dollars of diamonds on her face. I mean, I wouldn't take it off either, but like, how's she going to eat?
Yeah.
How do you eat with that? She's like, you don't eat in outfits like that. This is not going to come up.
I would eat the house down. A bunch of Indian food. That's what I had at this past wedding. I was like, I'd be there just to eat. So anyway, yeah, guys, I wasn't there. I was at a different wedding, but I had a great time.
Okay, good. I'm glad you had a great wedding. You looked
okay,
great.
Raina, we're deferring to you on. This is your category.
I'm very excited. Forbes came out with an article. It said one Book Talk author sold more books this year than the top 10 new books combined. We're talking more than Colleen Hoover, you guys. More
like
than
combined.
For Frida McFadden, who wrote All the Housemaid, Rebecca Yarros, who wrote Fourth Wing. So Sarah J. Maas, who wrote the ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's a 5-part book series. I really love it. Alyssa Amoroso, a friend of ours, introduced me to it. And I remember she told us about it about a year and a half ago. And she's like, it's these like fairies that have sex with each other. And she's just like, I love it so much. We made fun of her so hard. And I was like, let me try to get into these books. And I love them. It's a really different genre. I was never a big like fantasy genre kind of person. You know, I only recently got into fiction in general, but it's really different, and there's so many characters and there's so many things to keep up with, and it's all new concepts and ideas, and it keeps you hooked for so long. And the first 3 books in the 5-part series are one main character, and they switch to a different main character. They switch to her sister for that second 2, so you don't really see it coming, but they're so sexy. There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of different characters to keep up with. It's a wild ride. I think, like, why did these books sell so crazy? Yeah. But also, like, why not? Someone has to.
Yeah, but it's interesting because it's this, like, fantasy smut, this, like, fairy smut. And so, to your point, like, I guess I understand why Colleen Hoover sells so crazy. I don't know. It's, like, real-life people doing real-life things. I mean, with the push and pull and these, like, romances and these like star-crossed lovers and all this, just so many different types of books. But I haven't read these books, so they're kind of beyond me, and they're so long.
Yeah,
like they're a commitment. Like, I want to give props to all the people that are reading these fucking books. Like, no matter what it's about, no matter the reading level, it's not that you have to be so intellectual to read these, but you really need to be a reader. Like, these are like 500-page books.
Oh, girl, I think the last one is 800 pages. I mean,
what are you saying to me? That's like, are people really reading all 800 pages? Yeah. Raina, I will not understand it. Like, is this just like everybody's like secret life? Like, what are people? How are they going to work? You know, like, how are they also watching Bear, which we'll talk about? Like, how you have to commit. Like, You've like skipped through some, right? I'm not trying to call you out, but haven't you kind of like, or have you really read every page of every book?
I read every page of the first 3 books, and okay. I did not finish the 4th book. It's really funny because the first 3 are super long like that. It's probably like 400, 500, 600 pages. The 4th book is like 250 pages, and then the 5th book is like 800 pages. It sort of is like a play. Like the first like book, this is dystopian society. The first book is like kind of like a play on Beauty and the Beast. You have this human girl, you have all these fantasy creatures. I mean, there's a lot of will they, won't they, and build up to sex, and there's all these different storylines. And I mean, for anybody who is really into Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings, if you're into any of those, it is just like a nice escape. And the second person on this list is Colleen Hoover, who I loved her books, but all these scenarios are pretty common, relatable scenarios. So ACOTAR, which sold like 3 times more than that almost, it's just a different world that you're kind of opened up to. But I love a lot of the authors on this. You guys always want recommendations. Obviously, Ashley and I like anything by Colleen Hoover. I loved Frida McFadden's The Housemaid. It's like a murder thriller. I'm crazy about Emily Henry, who's also on this. I've recommended her before. She wrote Happy Place, and she writes like great book reads. I think one of her other books is called Beach Read, which I just started, and Lucy Score, which is Things We Never Got Over. I mean, there's tons of people on this.
I have that. Yeah. And
Rebecca Yarros' Fourth Wing, which people say that they love even more than ACOTAR. It's another fantasy novel about fighting dragons.
I know. I've heard. I'm not in this world. And we did our book episode like a few weeks ago. We like posted all those books on our Instagram, and so we did like our summer reading list for you guys. So we just thought this was interesting to dive into, and like all these people are into this like fair porn.
I mean,
which I'm for it.
The fact that she sold more than the rest of the top 10 combined it's astonishing. So yeah. I mean, I love it. I think you guys should check it out. It's good summer reading.
I think everyone's checking it out.
I think they are.
I don't think it's a hot take anymore. I think it's like people are all checking it out. More people
I was
than
surprised by how many men had read this prior to me even finding out about it. An ex of mine, I was like, do you know these ACOTAR books? He was like, I've read literally all 5 of them. And when I was reading the first one, Ryan, our video guy, he was like, I'm also in the middle of the first one. Like, men really like these books too, which I do think is a reason why this has sold more, because it is crossed like gender boundaries. Like, it's not just a book for women. Men really like these books.
I had no idea.
Yeah, men read them. I bought Ryan the second book for his birthday. You were there when I gave it to him.
Oh, that's right. I guess you guys do have something in common.
One thing. Our love for him and ACOTAR.
But this is a sexy thread to have in common. And this is what links you guys. This is your invisible string. No. Okay. Well, I'm going to kind of close out with something that I'm a little more into than Raina, but she's not totally out of this world. And this is just The Bear. And I have started watching this later than everyone else. I did just wrap up season 3 right before we started recording. I just had like one more episode to go. And I only started it a couple weeks ago. And I feel like it's become my whole personality. I can't talk about it enough. I have to talk about it with everybody. I have to talk about which episodes, and I know them all by name. And it's just really taken over my life. And my journey with The Bear was when it first came out. Obviously, everybody was talking about it and how great it was. And I started the first episode, and I think I got through like 15 minutes, and I was like, I just don't want to watch this. And I just don't think I was in the right headspace. It was just giving me anxiety. I mean, it's this really stressful, anxious, high-paced show that, you know, a largely part takes place in a kitchen. Everyone's running around and screaming. And, you know, there's more to it than that, which if you guys know, you know. But I was like, that's not what I want right now. And I revisited it with my boyfriend just because I was like, well, he's next to me. Like, he can be my like emotional support like person. And started watching it with him in Boston a couple weeks ago and just got so hooked and just finished season 3. And I've just never been on an emotional ride like this ever with the show. I can't believe it. Like, I'm just like the way, you know, you are just so anxious and stressed at some of these episodes and just watching like the character growth. And I've never felt like this about like characters, you know, and like storylines and like pulling for somebody and rooting for this, and then it all falls apart and you're just like so devastated. And I can say more about it, but obviously I want you to jump in and talk about your story with The Bear.
Well, I do have a question for you, but yeah, I watched the first season. I really loved it. I think it's great art. I've been a fan of Jeremy Allen White forever. Shameless is one of my favorite shows. I was obsessed with Lip. I thought he was so hot in that show. But I've worked in really high-end restaurants, and I'm really used to this environment. I found it. This isn't a hot take. A lot of people in restaurants have said this. I found it like a little re-traumatizing to like some really bad verbal abuse that I've experienced working in restaurants, from chefs just screaming at you, torturing you, humiliating you. So it really brought back those memories, and I just felt like it gives me like anxiety because I really remember those like really high-end, high-paced kitchen environments in New York City. And I do think things have really changed in the restaurant industry, I hope, since then. And, you know, I was in restaurants long before the Me Too movement and long before reform in terms of how you should treat your employees. And I worked for Danny Meyer after that, and I did not experience that type of environment there at all. But I do think it's changed. Anyways, so I watched the first season, and I just didn't feel like I needed to watch any more of it, even though it is a great show. But I was curious for you, because I stopped watching it. People loved the second season, and then the third season was kind of panned by people. So you feel like it kind of turned around?
Yeah, and I'll get to that, but I just wanted, to your point, like you said, a lot of people have said that. Like, and I worked in restaurants too, like way less than you, but you know, I worked in restaurants for years as well, but like I've been yelled at and stuff and like treated poorly, but not really that like traumatic experience. So it's like easier for me to watch, where I do understand how you would feel like that, but it's also feel like it really shows the difference between those kitchens that operate that way and those that don't, and like those that have like a really like toxic leadership, and then those that probably run more like a Danny Meyer operation, you know. And I find that a lot more season 2, so that like they show a lot more of that in season 2, and then that's kind of how season 3 rounds out as well, just like the different styles and whatever. But yes, I thought season 1 and season 2 were so incredible. Like, this is the best show that's ever made. There's like 2 episodes, one in season 1 where they're just starting to do their to-go orders, and it's like so chaotic, and I almost had to turn it off. I was like, this is too high stress. I like feel like my heart is like beating out of my chest. And then there's an episode in season 2. It's the Christmas episode. If you've seen it, you know, and it's like so bad. It's like, I can't take anymore. And it's like double the length of all the other episodes. And then after that, I feel like if you could power through those 2, you just kind of, it gets a little smoother. And season 3, I really didn't like the first 2 episodes of season 3. The first one was like very artistic, and it was just like a bunch of flashbacks set to like a music score, whatever. I get it. It's art. It just wasn't for me. And I was just like, I'm kind of bored. This whole montage could have been 10 minutes, but here we are. It's the whole episode. And that's fine if you really liked it. I mean, I know people that did. And the second episode I didn't love, and then it just started to grow on me, and I actually did like it by the end of it. And I like where it's left off. Obviously, spoilers here, but I don't know. I don't want to spoil it for you. But I like how it's ended. It's really on a cliffhanger. Okay. It is like, it says to be continued at the end, which feels like we're going to get season 4 quicker than normal. And then I did read that they filmed them right after each other. So allegedly, I think it's been filmed. I don't know. Tessa, did you see this at all?
It has been
filmed.
Okay.
So we're going to get it like sooner than later. Thank God. I can't wait to see what happens. Like, you're left just like, oh my fucking God, like what's going to happen? But I love it. It's incredible TV. I understand it. You know, like, some of the actors and actresses, like I was seeing like on the red carpet all the time, and I'm like, who is that? And I'm like, oh, they're from The Bear, you know? So I've just never felt like this about a show. I've never in my life Richie, who was, all I can think of him is the actor that was eating Marnie's ass in Girls.
Desi.
Yeah, Desi.
His name is Eben or Iban. What's his name?
Eben Mossbacher.
I don't know. Okay.
The one thing I can say, one of my biggest takeaways from the show is I've never in my life hated a character so much and then loved him so much. There is one episode, it comes right after the Christmas episode. He goes and works in this high-end restaurant and it completely changes his character arc. I've never seen a redemption arc like this in my life. I literally was I can't watch him on the screen anymore. I hate him that much. I hate him so much. I've never even hated a character this much. He makes me feel stressed. And then I'm Team Richie till the end. It just completely changed in the course of an episode. It's one of the best episodes I've ever seen. It's called Forks. It's I want you to watch it so much. And I don't know if other people feel this way, but that's just one of the best episodes of TV I feel I've ever seen because I've never really come around on a character. I've never done a complete 180 on a character so much in my life. And then the last thing I will say, I do think the most insane thing about The Bear is that it's labeled as a comedy.
That's crazy.
It wins awards in the comedy. No, that's the whole thing. Wins awards in the comedy category. The funniest thing about The Bear is that it's labeled as a comedy. That's so nuts. The show is about food and restaurants, obviously. But almost more than that, it's about suicide, addiction, alcoholism, death, childhood trauma. But obviously it's still about food and restaurants, and that's where everything takes place. But I just am how the fuck is this a comedy? I've never felt so stressed in my life. If I'm not having a panic attack, I'm crying. You laugh a little bit when the facts are on the screen, Maddie Matheson.
I was gonna say he's the funny part, yeah.
He's the only comic relief. Carmy has never even smiled one time in the 3 seasons. He's never laughed.
Smiles.
Nope, never laughs. Not even when he was in love with his girlfriend. Never. So I'm just how is this a comedy? Someone said that there's some theory that because of the length of it has to be in that category for award season. I don't know if I don't know. It's crazy to me.
It's giving
drama.
Can
you imagine not even dark comedy. Can you imagine being I'm going to turn on this comedy about restaurants and you start watching The Bear?
I've never turned on a comedy that made me be I'm too traumatized from my past to watch this.
So anyway, guys, not a hot take, but this has become my whole personality. And I think some people are powering through season 3, not loving it. And I do think you should see it through. I think it'll be fine. There's a great episode about Tina. There's a great episode with Sugar and she gives birth. And I just think it's worth the watch. If you have not loved the first couple episodes like I did, I think you should power through. And I think the way it ends is really cool too. And I think you'll love it too. It ends in this fine dining restaurant in Chicago. And I don't know. So
our question for the week is brought to you by Tessa. And she just says, men in short shorts, yes or no?
And how short? Maybe we can do a 7-inch, 5-inch, 3-inch, 1-inch inseam. What's your 1 inch is just panties. But
best body types for men in short shorts.
Whatever. Listen, we'll leave it up. We'll decide later. It'll be on Instagram. So go answer the question or leave your thoughts in the YouTube comments, of course. And we that's your snack for the week.
And I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. And you, of course, can find us at girlsgottaeat.com. We have tour tickets for the No Crumbs tour. We are so excited. We're just a few months out. So get those. And you can follow us on Instagram. Check that poll out. Girls Gotta Eat Podcast. We're also Girls Gotta Eat Podcast on TikTok. I am Ash Hess. Raina is Raina.Greenberg. And of course, we'd love that you guys are subscribed on YouTube. If you haven't, please do that. Leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking about the snack. And we will see you Monday.
Have a good weekend, guys.
Bye.
Bye.